Hi folks, this is Graham Allen and I'm going to be doing the 2025 Prog Rock Vinyl Tag, which has been put together by Alex from Beer and Vinyl. A lot of people will know his channel, great guy. I'll put a link to his channel in the notes here. So I'm just going to crack straight on with it, and we're going to start with favourite progressive release or purchase of 2024. And that is the German band keyboard and drums duo 69, Circle of the Crayfish. This is a one and done studio release. They do have a live album, but this is wonderful, powerful Hammond organ with some synths, very progressive, sometimes a little bit psychedelic and almost electronica, but really powerful drumming as well. I'll just show the cover of their live album because I think it tells you exactly all about them really. Pretty raw there with the Hammond and the Moog on top. Drum kit with gongs. You can actually see it's a double kit from the guy, but that's a wonderful release as well. A very wild sort of ride, but 69 from Germany. That was my favorite sort of purchase of the year. Number two, latest discovery or deep dive. Well, it's not really a sort of discovery, a latest discovery, because they've been on the radar for a while. But this is the wonderful Norwegian keyboard trio, organ trio, Elephant 9. This is a live album called Psychedelic Backfire. They're at their best live. Almost think of somebody like Jimi Hendrix and replace him with just instrumental, very overdriven, effects-laden Hammond organ, and you get kind of an idea of it. So sort of psych, prog, fusion-y, really great stuff. Very, very powerful. That's Elephant 9 from Norway. Number three, an artist musician we lost in 2024. I've gone for the drummer Mick Underwood, who played with the wonderful Quatermass. This was originally a Vertigo Swirl release, pretty well known. Trio with organ led on by Peter Robinson, but Mick Underwood plays drums on this. Absolutely great album, very, very powerful. Album celebrating 50 years, released in 1975. I've gone for the wonderful keyboard-dominated Triumvirate, Spartacus. It's probably my favorite by them. Just shades the Double Dimple album for me. Really good recording, 1975. Almost think this kind of filled a huge hole where Emerson, Lake and Palmer were kind of on leave, so Triumvirate jumped into that space sort of perfectly. Great band, really powerful album, Spartacus, 1975. Show an album that represents a progressive subgenre. Okay, I'm going to sort of go for more psych-leaning, London Underground. This is an Italian band focused on Hammond organ. The reason they're sort of called London Underground, it goes right back to the sort of the late 60s, the sort of beat sound, psych beat sound. So quite sort of dancey and sort of funky in a way, but psych, prog, London Underground from Italy. This is their live release from 2023, actually at a UK London festival. And the wonderful Gianluca Giallini on organ. Absolutely terrific band. They actually play a cover of a Brian Auger track on here. So that gives you an idea of their sort of sound. Brian Auger would fit kind of well with this band. Okay, show an instrumental album or song. I'm going to go back to Italy. Quite an obscure band, one and done, called Ego, and it's Evoluzione del Forme. And this is a kind of keyboard-dominated trio from Italy. This is a fairly recent release. I'm saying recent. I suspect it's about 15, 20 years old, but just a great album. Ego, Evoluzione del Forme. Really good, obscure release, all instrumental. Show your favorite record label. Well, it's actually an album I bought yesterday by Rhoda Scott, a Hammond organ jazz player, and I just really like this label. It's very sort of simple, but I just love this, the sort of colours. It's the Barclay label. There it is. Really just like that. Sort of slightly minimalist. It just fits the music perfectly, actually. So that's a Rhoda Scott album, and it's on the Barclay label. Local hero, show an album by an artist from your home. Well, I'm based in London in the UK, and I thought of places sort of outside of London because so many musicians gravitated towards London, obviously, particularly from the 70s. So I thought of Guildford, which is just south of London in the county of Surrey, and is known, of course, for Andy Latimer's Camel. So this is a bit of a favourite of mine, 1984, so very much, well after the height of progressive rock, but I thought it was a great comeback album, Stationary Traveller from 1984, interestingly set in kind of East-West Germany, talking about, tensions and all that was going on in Germany with the Berlin Wall. Great album, concept album. Camel, Stationary Traveller from Guildford. It bothers me that this artist isn't appreciated more. Show an artist band that really deserves more attention. Okay, in terms of the Italian big three, there's Premiata Funeria Marconi, PFM, who are shown a fair bit in the prog community. There's then Banco del Mutuo Soccorso, but this is by far my favourite. It's Le Orme, and they always seem to be the one that's sometimes left off of the big three, perhaps because they are a trio, keyboards led, kind of a bit Emerson, Lake and Palmer, but I absolutely love Le Orme. I've got all their early material. They changed direction very much mid-70s, but it's the early trio recordings that I think are really powerful. Particularly the mood playing by the keyboardist. So that's a great album. In concert, it's a raw recording, but it's a good representation of Le Orme from Italy. The Contrarian, share your unpopular opinion album lineup song. Okay, so I have gone for my favourite Genesis album. This never seems to get mentioned in the sort of top three Genesis albums. So often it's, Selling England by the Pound, Foxtrot, maybe Trick of the Tail. But this is my favourite, Wind and Wuthering. There's something about it. It's very autumnal. The cover's very autumnal. Just fantastic. Wonderful Steve Hackett. Of course, it's his last studio album with the band. Fantastic drums by Phil Collins, great songwriting, and something a little bit bleak and English and definitely autumnal about it. So that's Wind and Wuthering is my favourite Genesis offering. Who did it better? Show a progressive band covering a song or an artist. And with this, I am going to a band from Germany, actually with a couple of UK members called Odin, who organ dominated again, and they did a Frank Zappa track called King Kong, and I think Odin did it much better with their great sort of heavy prog sound, typical German sound from the early 70s. Odin, this is some studio sessions they did at SWF, so great version of King Kong by Frank Zappa on this, and there's their studio album. Still going strong. Show an older artist who is still going strong today. Okay, well, I thought of Carl Palmer from Emerson, Lake and Palmer, one of my favourite musicians, but I recently saw this guy live, Bill Bruford. He's back out touring with the Pete Roth Trio. I saw him in a very small jazz club in London. It was great to see him. And as people will know, he retired in 2009, and there we are, sort of 14, 15 years later, he's back out and he's touring again this year. So it was just wonderful to see Bill Bruford back behind the drums. This is a live recording from 1979. Fantastic, fantastic drummer. that's not prog. Show an album or artist that could be prog or maybe isn't. So, Lee Michaels. Lee Michaels is an American artist. He's a blue-eyed soul boy singer. And this album, though, I bought for the absolutely killer Hammond organ playing. And again, it's a duo, which I love. So just a really good, sort of dense Hammond organ, very bluesy, kind of weighty, meaty drums. It's a live album. So that's Lee Michaels, who's a blues guy, soul boy really, but just wonderful if you like Hammond organ. The powerful, grinding, biting Hammond organ on this album is absolutely wonderful. So Lee Michaels recommended for keyboard and Hammond organ lovers. Girls don't like prog. Okay, so just straight away I thought of Frumpy from Germany. Inga Rumpf, the lead singer, still going strong. Frumpy, a wonderful band from Germany. Again, if you like Hammond organ, absolutely killer. Two organists on this album, absolutely phenomenal. Great band, some commercial success, not that well known in the UK, but Inga Rumpf, still going strong on vocals. A little bit like a sort of Janis Joplin type of sound. Wonderful singer, that's Frumpy. Okay, last up, an artist or band you want to dive into or get back into. So this is really a genre I want to get into. So a bit of a cheat, but I've kind of run out of Hammond organ duos and trios on the prog side. So I've started getting into kind of Hammond organ, a little bit soul jazz, that kind of stuff. And I've gone for brother Jack McDuff, who was a huge influence on Keith Emerson. His album Moon Rapping, which is kind of 74 and just has got a little bit of that funk fusion feel to it, whereas the stuff in the 60s is much more bop. People like Jimmy Smith, Jimmy McGriff. So brother Jack McDuff, Moon Rapping. That's my that's the sort of genre that I'm looking to dive into a little bit more, because I feel I've got to the end of my organ duo trio rabbit hole with progressive rock. I'm sure I haven't. There's still some stuff to find. I know there is, but that's it. So thanks very much to Alex, and I'll see you all soon.